Hello and welcome to my machine shop. I'm Nino. This is my 1986 Corvette. I wanted to make a video today on a subject that came up for me about 2 years ago. Quick backstory, we bought this car 4 years ago. Standard 86 Corvette, tuned port injected, 5.7 liter, 700 R4 car. And that was fun. We did that for about 2 summers. The wife and I just cruise it uptown, do a couple burnouts, go to the car show, did the burnout pit at the car show. Your standard Corvetting, if you will. But then we wanted a little bit more performance out of the car because, as everybody knows, the TPIs tend to die off really hard. About 4,500, nothing really happens after that. And so we had toyed around initially with the idea of going to an LS swap, which is actually what I'm currently working on. We actually have the LS over there. But at the time, I already had 3 small block Chevys laying around, sort of had them in spades. And my son and I just wanted to do a simple build and have fun with it. So when you look online, you'll find that there is a lot of conjecture behind 2-bolt small block Chevys. Guys will say, you know, they could take 450 horse and then they explode. Some guys will say ARP head studs and you can go to 550. Some guys will tell you, I've been a machinist for 750 years and every 2 bolts I've ever built has done fine. Some circle track guys will say they do fine. Some circle track guys say they're gonna detonate on the first night. But what I didn't find was any comprehensive build data and use data to actually say, you know, this is what I built and this is how I used it and this was the result. So what I wanted to do today was to we're going to pull the motor out of this car. I'm going to whiteboard and show every single part that I put in this motor, and we're going to go over how it performed. And I think you'll be surprised. We are, like I said, we have a 5.3 liter LM7 that's going into this car with a snail on it. So more to come on that. We also have Power Stroke trucks around here. We've got a couple of those. We've also got some Chevy diesel trucks as well. And I'll probably be doing some content on those. But for now, I've got the battery charger going on this. I've already got the engine primed oil. It's probably 0 or better outside. So we're going to do a cold start here on a 385-inch Chevy stroker. All right, so we started off with a 0010 block and had it bored 40 over because it had some pretty serious ring ridge, and then the block was decked. This is a block that you can find in a bunch of different 70s cars and trucks. Nothing really special about it. Then we went with the ARP main stud. And now this is what everybody says is so crucial with the 2 bolts. And you can actually, I've seen guys get away with literally just replacing their main bolts rather with studs and not line honing them. But you know, you're really taking a chance. I personally wouldn't do it. I just had the mains line honed to fit the ARP main studs, and it was sort of set it and forget it. Then we went with an Eagle 3.75 inch stroke crank and Eagle forged I-beam rods, stroker rods. They come as a kit from Summit. I got the crankshaft, the rods, and the Speed Pro Hypertectic, however you say it, plus 5cc, flat top, 2 valve relief pistons, all as a kit. And then we topped those pistons off with Molly rings, gapped for up to 175 shot of nitrous. Now, when you buy these pistons, they actually give you a sheet that tells you the gaps that you're going to need for specific nitrous applications, and we followed that. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is because I forget, but you will get that information with your rings when you buy them. Then we went with the crane cams, number 11531, or I'm sorry, 113531. And the duration of 50 thousandths is 224 intake, 230 exhaust, and the advertised duration is 274, 280. This cam was specifically recommended to me by a good friend of mine, happens to be a machinist, engine builder, and he's used this cam many times before. And it is a really cool cam. It sounds nice and performs really, really well, actually. Now, onto the heads. Again, this is stuff that I had laying around. These heads that we use are 993s, which is a low compression smogger style head, if you will. And I did spend way too much time on these heads just because I knew they needed all the help they could get. I bowl blended them, gasket matched them, but still, this is basically a junk head. They're 76cc chambers. With these heads, these pistons, this setup was around 9.38 to 1, I believe, static compression. Actual, who knows? But it was under 9.5 to 1. So it was pretty friendly on pump gas and stuff like that. It worked really well. Then we used a Weiand single plane open plenum intake. The number for that is 7546. And this intake actually is completely the wrong intake for this motor. This motor really, really, really will do well with a dual plane, like a RPM dual plane air gap or whatnot. But again, this was stuff that I literally had laying around. So this engine was put together with all parts that I had sitting around already. Then we had a Holley 750 CFM vacuum secondary single pump carburetor. Again, not exactly the ideal carburetor for performance applications. These tend to run really good on the street though. Going down the highway, they do really well, and they do offer some performance. There were some downfalls though, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. Then we topped the whole setup off the second summer that we ran this motor with the Nitrous Express ML1000 kit. And that's just your basic run-of-the-mill nitrous kit. We ran multiple jet sizes on this, but we found that 100 shot, actually, this motor absolutely loved. We did run 150 shot, but we only ran it for one track day because it actually was so much more than the tires could handle. It was unusable. So that said, this is the engine built. This is all the parts that were in here. This block, the heads, the intake, the carburetor, I literally paid $100 for all of this, minus the crankshaft, the rods, and the Nitrous Express kit, and of course the main studs. So we bought all that stuff on a Summit sale for about $900, and this was a blast for my son and I to put together. Now, here's the surprising part, is the usage. The usage, we drove this for about 3,000 miles the first summer. We just had fun with it. Again, we just drove it to, uptown. My wife and I had fun, did some burnouts, but we did no track days, okay? So 3,000 miles on a Corvette in the summer. I think, most guys probably aren't driving their Corvettes much more than that in the summer. Maybe some guys do, but I find it's pretty rare. Now on to the second summer. The second summer, we had this setup in the car. We actually had planned in the beginning of the year, we said we were gonna put nitrous on it and spray it till it died, because we thought certainly that it would die. And we had never been out to the track before. We're total noobs when it comes to drag racing anything, but we wanted to have fun and try it out as a family. So we packed everyone up, and we were going to Union Grove initially, and we made 20 quarter-mile passes with no nitrous, because these were literally the first passes I ever drove at a drag strip. I didn't want to wreck the car, do something stupid. So we did 20 quarter-mile passes there with no nitrous. Now, after the Union Grove days, we were told about a place called Hillsboro Dragway. Shout out Hillsboro Dragway family. These guys are amazing. This is one of the coolest places I think I ever found. It's an 1/8 mile, no prep style, abandoned airstrip turned into a dragway. It's family oriented. It's just a blast. We had an absolute blast out there last summer. And we went out there for 8 weekends, and we did a minimum of 7 passes per track day there. Some days we did more, some days we did less. But these are the basic numbers of what we did. I averaged about 7 passes per track day, and these were all nitrous passes. And the car was being sprayed with 100 shot basically the whole time. But the thing is here, out there, we were doing nitrous hot laps. We would run down the 1/8 mile, spray it with nitrous the whole way, turn around and come right back to the starting line and spray it again. And this is where I was just absolutely shocked. I thought for sure that this 2-bolt was gonna come apart, but it didn't. It just kept going and kept going and kept going. And even now to this day, the engine has great oil pressure. It starts and runs great, no knocks, no anything. It's ready for more. And so we are going to the LS, but the whole idea of this is now what I want to do is pull the motor out of this car. We are going to flip it over, and we're going to pull the mains. We're going to look at the mains. We're going to check for deflection. We're going to check for deformation of the registers on the caps. We're going to check and see if a cap is cracked. We're going to take a look at what over 75 passes on a 2-bolt motor looks like. And trust me when I say, I am not easy on this car. This car has been basically to the floor its entire life. Since the motor was broken, it's been wide open throttle. And when, even my 3,000 miles the first summer, every on-ramp is a challenge when it comes to my driving. So with that said, let's get over to the car. Let's pull this motor out and let's flip it over and see what's going on the bottom end of this thing. we've got all the vertickeries off. Let's get this motor out of here, son. Here, buddy, you wanna pull the chain?
This engine has done us good. It's time to say goodbye to it.
Yep. All good things come to an end. Okay, hold up. We gotta pull that starter wire off. Up she goes. Okay. Well, we've got our engine stand situated here. Let's grab ourselves another bolt. Okay, we need a bar too. Gotta take this back. Get a new one. All right, buddy, you want to start dropping her down? Mm-hmm. Other way? There you go. All right, guys. So here we are. We've got the engine out of the car. We've got it on the stand. And we've got our main nuts, if you will, pulled. And we are ready to start pulling these caps and see what's going on here. Theoretically, this first cap, if this one's really bad, then they're all going to be plastered most likely. But let's take a look. First glance, the crank looks perfect. I don't see anything on the crankshaft. Looking really good. Let's take a close look here at the bearing. Now it does have some marks there, which is to be expected. Nothing I can catch my finger on though. Overall, that's not that bad. Yeah. There's nothing you can catch a fingernail on, so not bad. Let's set this back down. Oh, you know what? We forgot to check to see if the registers are deformed at all. Let's grab this light. This was the thing that concerned me as well. And the registers are completely mint. They're not deformed at all. Get a closer look at the crank there. The crank is in great shape. Quick polish and some new bearings here. She's ready to go again. Okay. And the bearing did not come out with number 2, so had that oil stiction going on there. This is 50 weight in here. And again, we look at the crank. Look at that crank is absolutely beautiful. Perfect. Great shape. Now let's take a look at the bearing. Oh, we do have some grooving here. Stick our light up here. So we can really take a look at this. And we've got some definite hardware on here, but nothing I can catch my fingernail on. Why she's giving me a time. There we go.
Okay. And we'll just toss that on there. Oh, number 3. Looks like it's going to be the same deal. And let's take a look. Yeah, it's more of the same. This is just sort of typical wear. There's a little gouge in there. Looks like may have had some contamination in the oil. But again, this was hard usage last summer. And let's take a look at the crankshaft again here. And she's mint. I mean, the crank is good to go. Registers, no deformation, no pitting, anything like that. They look good to go. I'm not too concerned about the block side of these bearings because your bottom side of your bearing should show all the load, show the wear. Let's see if I can get this one to pop in a little easier. There we go. All right. So number 3, good to go. Closer to the back here. And of course, right away, let's take a look at the crankshaft. Very nice. You can see that chamfered oil passage there too. Very good. Cameron over there freezing on the side. He's ready to go inside. Yeah, more of the same. This one here, you can see this one's a little bit more worn. But this is just usage. This is wear. I don't see any galling in the bearing. Like something was wrong. Maybe a little bit of oil contamination, that's about it. Stick her back in here. Get her located. Get our oil pump rod out of there. And wow, look at that. And there is our rear main. And of course, thrust surface. Not bad at all. I mean, this is just normal wear. That's where I'd expect to see the most. Yeah, that thing is in great shape still. I mean, solid. Worked out, and that's, like I said, 70 plus passes, wide open throttle. And of course, it's not a world beater, but it has been put through hell. So yeah, let's come to our conclusion. All right, guys, so there it is. The 385-inch 2-bolt Chevy Stroker. Overall, I would say I was really happy with this motor. A crank polish, some new bearings, and some different heads. This thing could actually make a bunch more power. You know, 70 plus passes at the track, 50 plus nitrous passes. Granted, we were only spraying it with a 100 shot, but I mean, for what it is, to me, it's just, I mean, it really confirms that these can be okay engines. You're not going to win, titles with them. But, you know, as far as getting started, like I said, first year racing, or going to the track, you know, or maybe you have an old muscle car, you want to stay period correct. These things are okay. You do the stuff right, you know, line hone with your ARP studs, and you're good. We had no deformation of the mains, no cracks in the mains, no deformation of the registers. This thing's ready to go in something. And now the big question is, what do I do with it now? I'm probably just going to wrap it up, store it for now. hopefully we'll figure out something cool to do with it. I'm thinking maybe a 70s 4x4 Chevy truck or something like that. And next weekend, maybe I'll try and film tearing down that LM7 and seeing what's going on inside of that. It's got 130,000 miles, so we'll see what 130,000 mile LM7 looks like inside. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you could take something from this. Anyways, we're out.